Grain Elevator and Processing Society is hosting their annual GEAPS Exchange Conference at the Kansas City Convention Center, February 22nd through the 25th of 2025. GEAPS Exchange is the biggest and best show in the grain industry with more than 400 exhibitors and 45 hours of education. It is the best place to find grain handling and processing operation solutions all in one place. GEAPS Exchange brings together industry professionals from across the world to help build professional networks and connect with the products you need. Come walk the trade show floor, take part in live demonstrations, innovation stations, and see new equipment. Make valuable connections through a variety of fun and exciting social events. Early bird pricing ends January 28th. Learn more and register at jeeps.com/exchange. Coming up is a conversation I had with a longtime and highly acclaimed publisher of the Grain Journal. This person has been such a big supporter of the grain handling and processing industry for so many years. Given his unique perspective with Country Journal Publishing, we'll discuss grain industry trends, and we'll touch a little bit on the history of his career and the publishing company. Hey folks, welcome to the show. My name is Jim Lenz, your host and Director of Training and Education at GEAPS, where the mission of the Grain Elevator and Processing Society is about people and information and knowledge. And the mission of the industry is about feeding the world. Thanks for listening today and for joining the network of thousands of other grain handling and processing professionals across the globe taking strategic steps to grow professionally. The Whole Grain Show will give you the competitive advantage to win at work so you can make more of an impact. In today's show, we feature special guest Mark Avery. You might know Mark from Grain Journal, Seed Today, Milling Journal, Processing Journal, and other publications. We'll tell you at the end of the show how you can receive your free copies of any of the magazines. While GEAPS and Country Journal Publishing have worked together closely for many years, this year Country Journal Publishing became GEAPS Media Group. We are so happy to have Mark officially be part of the GEAPS team. Mark now serves as president of the GEAPS Media Group. He also serves on the GEAPS Foundation board. Today, we welcome Mark Avery, publisher of the Grain Journal. It's great to connect with you again, Mark. Thanks for being on the show.
I'm looking forward to talking with you, Jim.
Yeah, we talked not too long ago, but I know you were on vacation. You went to Italy, you just told me. And I would expect that a person of your experience would be traveling between a lot of fields of corn and soybean and other things. But no, it's good to get away from that.
I actually saw a lot of corn in Italy, which
is that right?
Yeah, it kind of surprised me. I hadn't done the research on Italy. Yeah. Saw a lot of cornfields, really. Some that had already been harvested, some that were getting ready to be harvested, and then a lot that were still green, like we have here in Central Illinois. So, so saw the whole gamut of the cornfields, and so some wheat, but it was kind of interesting.
Very neat. Any elevators? Did you tour any elevators?
I didn't tour any. I saw very few, really.
Oh, yeah.
Some grain storage, a couple feed mills. Really surprised I didn't see more of that.
Well, very, very nice to start out. If you don't mind, do you have a professional mantra or success quote that you live by?
Well, I think my main thing is, do unto others as they would do unto you. It's probably my main one that I really like to work under, and just try to give as much as I can to everybody that we work with, and just be fair and trustworthy, and just work hard.
I love that. That's reputation certainly follows you. Mark, so much of our audience is very familiar with the Grain Journal, but for those listeners who are learning about the Grain Journal for the first time, what would you like them to know? What is the Grain Journal?
Grain Journal is a trade magazine going to grain elevators, also feed mills. Our main emphasis editorially is grain handling and storage, new equipment, facility features, which we've been doing for a number of years, projects about new facilities, expanded facilities, in-depth stories on what they're doing at those facilities, a lot of pictures to go along with the stories. We also have a lot of safety-related articles how to keep your employees safe, how to keep your facilities safe, operations articles, grain quality. We do a lot of surveys asking professionals in the industry for their ideas on different topics. We do a lot of supplier profiles, so our readers get to know different people in the industry. We also have some merchandising related articles, even though that isn't a primary importance. We do want people to know that what's going on the merchandising side of the business. A lot of interviews with key people in the industry who have policy responsibilities, key issues, things along those lines. A lot of product releases and just news of what's going on in the grain industry.
You're serving so many. Thank you for your service. I reached out to you shortly after I joined GEAPS. I really enjoyed the conversation. I think the story of the start of the Grain Journal is so interesting, and then how you got involved and where you've taken it. It's just been just incredible. And congratulations. I believe you are celebrating your 50th year in business this year, 2022.
Yes. Country Journal Publishing Company was started in 1972. The Grain and Feed Association of Illinois wanted to have a magazine that the grain elevators in Illinois could give out to their farmer customers. There had been some publicity in some of the daily newspapers at that time that was negative toward the grain industry. And the association wanted to get the grain elevator side of the story out to their farmer customers. So they started a magazine. It was newsprint that they had printed and gave in bulk to grain elevators who could then pass out to their farmer customers as they came into the elevator. Well, within 3 years, that idea kind of was a little too much work for them. And so they sold the publication to 3 gentlemen in the industry and moved to Decatur in around 1976. And Bert Wise was one of those 3 owners who had been in the grain industry for a number of years. He was retired. And so he kind of took the reins of running it, brought it to Decatur. And then in 1978, he hired me as the editor as I graduated from the University of Illinois. And then I got to buy into the business pretty early. We just had 4 employees, real small, just in the state of Illinois. Then we just started growing into other states. In 1980, we changed our name to Grain Journal. And then just over time, over the next few years, went nationwide and started growing from there.
Can you talk about your kind of evolution through the business? What was your intention as a young professional? How did you end up here and just kind of the changes that evolved over time?
Well, as I was graduating from college, I was a secondary education major, and I had just one job interview after student teaching. And so in the spring of 78, when I graduated, I didn't have very many opportunities in the education field, but my minor was ag journalism. And the editor of, at that time, it was called Country Journal, he was leaving. And I knew him through the University of Illinois, through some classes there. And as he was leaving, he said, "Hey, would you like to interview for this job?" I didn't have any other possibilities at the moment, so I was looking for something. So interviewed and was fortunate enough to be hired and came over here. As I said, we just had 4 employees. Bert was a salesman. I was the editor. We had a bookkeeper and a circulation manager. Then Bert started having some health problems and was missing some work. So then I started helping on the sales side of the business, selling advertising, because all of our revenue was coming from advertising. And so I just kind of morphed more into sales. I enjoyed that and always been kind of a competitive person, and I kind of got my juices flowing. And so I just got more on the sales side. Then we eventually brought in another editor to replace me. And in 1986, then Bert was slowing down. And so I then took over as a publisher running the business. And then eventually, and at that point, I was a part owner of the business. 1996, I had two other partners. I bought them out in 1996. And then we just kept growing. In 1990, we added a milling magazine called the Milling Journal for the milling industry. In 96, we added a magazine for the seed production industry called Seed Today. In the early 2000s, we added two other magazines, which were subsequently closed down, Biofuels Journal for the ethanol industry, and then Wind Today, which is for the wind turbine industry. We closed those down in the early 2010s. And then 6 or 7 years ago, we took on working with the International Association of Milling Superintendents, IAMSA. We took over running their publication, Oil Mill Gazetteer. And so we did that for up till second quarter of this year when that association disbanded. And now we are starting a new magazine. Now that we're a part of the GEAPS Media Group, starting a new magazine called Processing Journal, which will be for oilseed processing and also the ethanol industry. So we're kind of coming full circle. We're doing 4 magazines, 3 quarterlies, Grain Journal, our main magazine 6 times a year. We have an annual equipment catalog and 11 employees doing all that. And we're keeping busy, do a lot of digital products as the digital market keeps expanding. So always something new and exciting and keeps us on our toes.
How large is the reach for your magazines?
Grain Journal's circulation around 10,000 across the United States and a little bit into Canada, a little bit international, but we're mainly a North America, U.S. publication. Same thing, Milling's about 1,500. Has a little more international circulation, working with the International Association of Operative Millers. They have a lot of international members, so we send it to them. But primarily U.S. and Canada. See Today is primarily U.S. And our new Processing Journal magazine will be primarily U.S. and a little bit into Canada. So mainly North America, U.S. on our circulation.
That has gone quite a ways from, the start in just that one state to across the U.S. and beyond. That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You mentioned the Processing Journal, new journal. Has that started for our listeners who are curious?
We are right now here in getting close to mid-September. The first issue will come out in the third quarter issue will come out the first part of October. So we're right now working, finalizing our advertising sales and our editorial. So we'll be sending that to the printer at the end of September. So our first one will come out. It'll be a quarterly magazine, but we wanted to do 2 here at the end of 2022 to keep the momentum going, coming off the Oil Mill Gazetteer magazine, and to get it a start for next year. So good sales so far in our advertising. So we're real excited about the new opportunity there, and we'll have some digital products that will go along with that.
Oh, very exciting. Now, what can viewers and readers expect from the Processing Journal? What are you wanting to do with it?
It'll primarily focus on oilseed processing, different techniques, new things happening in that industry. We also want to do some things on the ethanol industry, some of the different challenges that industry is doing, new projects, things like that. So primarily operations and news oriented. And be a lot of product news in both of them. Just a lot of information on the operational side.
Are there any other publications you wanted to share, and what's on the horizon?
Not too many changes in Grain Journal, Milling Journal, Seed Today. We have a strong market presence in all 3. We'll just continue to expand and keep doing what we've been doing. We've had a lot of success in all 3 of those magazines.
Now, in terms of the grain processing, grain handling industry, can you share a little bit with our listeners because you have such a unique perspective, connecting, from vendors to those running facilities. What kind of trends have you seen over the years, and what you think is, critical and vital at the current time?
Well, the first trend that hits me, and this goes back a number of years to the mid-90s, is going back into when I got into this in the 80s, when I really started in the industry, was farmers would plant a lot of grain one year, produce a lot, and the price would go down. So then the government would come in the next year and pay them not to plant as much, set aside. So then the next year, there wouldn't be as much production and the price would go up. And that was good for the farmer, but for the grain industry, it wasn't the greatest, because then production was up and down year after year. And what I've learned over many years in the industry is that, the grain elevators and then subsequently the people who supply equipment to them, they want production. They want to fill up the tanks and make the elevators build more tanks. That means more equipment. So in the mid-90s, Congress changed and got rid of the set-aside program. And I think that was one of the biggest things that really helped us here, is in production really ramped up on a consistent basis year after year after year, which then we've seen a lot of building of concrete and steel tanks. And then subsequently, that means a lot of grain handling equipment that goes along with that. So from the mid-90s on, it's been pretty good for us just because of that. And then the other thing along the same lines is, we have a lot of facilities that have been out there for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. So a lot of them are getting some age on them, so they have to be replaced or upgraded. And so there's always constant building and upgrading and that. And for us, as a trade magazine, we receive no revenue from our readers. It's free subscriptions on all of our magazines. So we're relying upon our advertisers to get our revenue. So the advertisers basically, if they're busy, they'll advertise. If they're not busy, they won't advertise as much. So the busier they are building and manufacturing equipment, the better for us. So that has been one of the biggest trends over the years. Other main thing is we have a great staff here, great group of people to work with. I think we put out good products. We take care of our customers, both the readers and the advertisers. So we have a lot of repeat business, people that have been with us for a number of years. So that has been very positive. And probably the third biggest challenge and change has been the digital. Starting around 2000, websites started coming in, and it really hasn't affected us as much as maybe newspapers or commercial magazines. They have really been hit hard by the digital age and really hurt, their print products. Trade magazines are kind of at the bottom level of that. So we haven't been hit as hard on our print magazines, which is the majority of our revenue. So it's very important that we keep our print products going. But you can see the change coming. You get younger people coming into the industry in marketing positions. And so they're looking more on the digital side of things and products. And we're adjusting to that, and we need to keep adjusting to that. So that's probably our biggest challenge at this point.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anything else you wanted to add?
Well, as of July 1st, I've sold the Country Journal Publishing Company to GEAPS, and now we are the GEAPS Media Group, and we are very excited about working with GEAPS and what they'll bring to us and the opportunities to work with them and for some new products and for our future growth. So very, very excited about GEAPS accepting us. Everybody's been very kind and welcoming to us, and looking forward to see how we can grow and serve the grain industry better.
Certainly exciting times. And Mark, you've been so active with GEAPS and with so many GEAPS members. We thank you for your continued support over the years. From your perspective, what are the benefits of being a GEAPS member?
Well, the first thing comes to mind is the networking. That's what always drove me into it, and getting to meet people, which I think is just so critical, no matter what part of the industry you're in, your job responsibilities. So, you can always reach out. The fellowship is also a big part of it. And the GEAPS exchange is just so critical to our business, people we meet there and get to see there. And GEAPS is just a great melting pot of bringing everybody together and learning and the friendship, fellowship, everything about it.
I love it. Now, before we conclude, I'd like to start a sentence, Mark, and I'd love for you to conclude the sentence. And the sentence starts with, being part of the GEAPS family means.
Being part of a great industry, great people you can rely upon and talk to, get information, and who are long-lasting friends.
That's awesome. Create a great network. It's been such a great honor to connect with you. You've been such an incredible leader in the grain industry, supporting so many individuals, teams, and organizations in the grain industry. You provide such an incredible forum for others to support the industry and move the industry forward. That's what it's all about. Thank you for being a guest on Whole Grain.
Thank you, Jim. All the best.
The GEAPS Media Group publishes 4 trade magazines, as you found out: Grain Journal, Milling Journal, Seed Today, and Processing Journal. Sign up to receive your free copies on any of them. You can do that at grainnet.com. If you are not currently a member and are considering GEAPS membership, I strongly recommend visiting jeeps.com/membership. We offer individual membership and facility and company memberships. And for a larger scope on all that we have to offer at GEAPS to best serve you, visit jeeps.com. That's GEAPS.com. Have yourself a great day, and thanks for listening to Whole Grain.